Helen Pilale Nkaisserry is the widow of the late Major General Joseph Nkaisserry, who served last as the Minister, the CS for Interior and Coordination of National Government in the Republic of Kenya. There's a new book out there by Helen Nkaisserry. It's called The General and I, and this is what we want to talk about, the memoir. Before we welcome her like we always welcome our guests by giving her the day's proverb. City?
Yes, the whole of this week our proverbs have been from the country of Mozambique.
Mozambique, pale.
Yes, otherwise known in Kiswahili as?
Msumbiji.
Msumbiji, yes, and not to be associated with the terrorist gang that was in western Kenya called Angola Msumbiji. It's the country of Msumbiji. A parasite cannot live alone.
A parasite cannot live alone.
Yes. A parasite needs an enabler. Yes, in the absence of that enabler, that parasite will die. Parasite needs a host.
Indeed. That's true.
So one could call a parasite a community microorganism. It likes keeping company.
So as long as you're hosting,
Yes.
you're hosting parasites.
Well, yes, indeed.
Your children should hear this. Helen Nkaisserry, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
At Assisi, we are happy that you've joined us this morning.
Yes.
And you also are, patron and boss of Ushanga.
I'm the chairperson.
Chairperson.
Yes.
Of, what is Ushanga?
Ushanga Kenya Initiative is a government program that was initiated in late 2017 as a way of assisting women from pastoralist communities to be able to use the art knowledge that they know of beads, that is Ushanga. And then our task is to help them to market and produce products that are easily marketable within the country and globally.
Okay.
One of them is the bracelet you are putting
This
on.
one.
That's Ushanga.
Proper Ushanga.
Yes. Yes.
So when they make these, what then that the Ushanga initiative do? Does it buy off them or does it bring the buyers to them?
Now, Ushanga Kenya Initiative is a government program under the Department of Culture. So we don't sell for them. We link them to markets. And we, in the counties, about 7, West Pokot, Turkana, Marsabit, Samburu, Baringo, Kajiado, and Narok, we have formed cooperatives. They are called Ushanga cooperatives. So we train them to produce quality products. Then we link them to markets, and then the products are bought by whoever has needed to buy them. And then the money goes direct to the women through the cooperatives. Yes.
Okay. Beneficial to the people.
Yeah.
You have written a book about your life and times with General Joseph Nkaisserry, who was a member of parliament, and then he became a cabinet secretary. And let me just read some bits of the book. This is a story of an imposing man whose appointment to the country's top security seat made Kenyans feel relatively safe again after the 2013 Westgate Mall terror attack and the 2014 massacre in Mpeketoni. A patriot and fitness enthusiast, Nkaisserry's sudden death on the eve of a general election sent shockwaves worldwide. In the list of his unfinished work was his wish to write his life story. His widow Helen steps up courageously to bear witness and realize the general's dream. She weaves this memoir in the context of a Maasai cultural world set against a fast-changing political landscape. Very good book. And the foreword is by the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Major General Joseph Nkaisserry was one of the towering figures of our time, a man not just of dignity but also of diligence and loyalty. He left Kenya immeasurably better. Of course, we all agree that he contributed a lot in service. Did the content of this book, was the content of this book first contributed to by the late Nkaisserry and then you continued with it, or are these all your words?
These are all my words. In fact, the only thing he did is to have an idea, which he talked about, okay, after the elections of 2017, I will sit and write a book. And he even selected, and this is the picture that is going to be
on the cover.
On the cover, but actually not this one, because I picked this one for a reason. And we discussed that was what he was going to do after the elections of 2017 are done, that he was going to start writing his book.
Had he started journaling? Had he started putting his thoughts together, or everything was in his head? You were saying
everything was in his head. He believed that he could carry so much on his head. So he says, I already know what I want to write. So all this, it's me who wrote it. Yeah.
So having written the book, would you say you knew? Had he then downloaded what he wanted to say to you? Or would you say by virtue of the fact that you knew him, that you would be able to put in a book some of the things that you say he carried on his head?
I think both. In that, if you look at the message that maybe knowing him that he would have wanted to pass on was a message of encouragement to the family, to all those who knew him, and to the country and to the whole world. And he's somebody who valued relationships, both within the country and even internationally. And he kept those relations. So, and he would refer to what they did together. So I think he would have written most of it. And also, maybe I wrote what I believed so much he would have wanted, in that he wanted a document for his children, which they can refer to, which they can know what he did, maybe where he was not 100% perfect, and build from there.
Sure.
Yeah.
What did he do? What did he do that has been captured in this book that could go on to his children, his children's children? And not just that, but the country.
Believing in himself and never shying away to take up any responsibility, and the level of patriotism, that if you want a better country, then it's you who is supposed to step out and make it better. Yeah.
There's General Nkaisserry, the military man, and then now there was the politician. Now, when a politician has a family, which means he has a wife and children, they become part and parcel of that process. I'm interested. What is the life of a politician's wife?
It's a tough life, I must say, but you choose whether to see it as a burden or to see it as an opportunity which you have to carry and see what good you can make out of it. To me, I saw like somebody, because there is a lot of pressure out there. Somebody cannot be effective without a way of releasing pressure out there. So I believe, and that's the role I played, I believe that I was there to ease the pressure and make sure that, communication and being aware of what is happening. Number two is that you also become the politician. I ended up, and for me it was a unique way of getting into it, in that going into politics, the first military man to go into national politics was something unheard of. And he went into it not by design. He was the community, the one who came to get him out of the military to go in to become their leader. And it was 3 months to elections. And here they are. The elders have gone up to see President Moi, the late president, and they have told him that we want him. This is the man we want to come and represent us. So what could I do? I had, at least I had skills of being able to address people because that has been my life. My profession is teaching. And he didn't know how to campaign or how really to
interact with
people.
He knows orders.
Yes. So I had to take up the role. So even before he cleared with the military, because he was very careful not to, go out without dressing in his uniform because he had not been cleared, had to start calling meetings back at home in Kajiado, and using the elders and the traditional institutions that were there to try to pass the message and prepare the ground. So I did that to start, and by the time he came, he was able to at least manage, but the ground was very, very warm for him because of the work he did all through for the community. This was somebody who, all through his life, he was always going out of his way to help people around him. So, and then after now, we became politicians. So we had to sort of had our plans that in development, this is where you can help me. And that is where you read that I took up the role of working with the women in Kajiado Central. Yeah.
How did you meet the general?
Okay. In those days, we were few of us who went to school. And I happened to have been in a primary school when he was in a secondary school just across the railway line in Kajiado town. Those were the only 2 schools because all the girls would go to AIC, the church primary school. We would all be brought from the villages to that school. And then there was only one, he had already gone to the secondary school. So we knew, everybody knew everyone. You knew who his name and where his family. But now, much later, as we progressed on with our professions, he had already joined the army, and he meets me somewhere in Nakuru. I think it was at the showground. And he said, "Oh, this is where you came." Okay. And that was it. Then the next, I was in college, and he traces where I am. And those days it was not going for coffee. It was saying, "Yeah, I'm going to marry you."
Next, home.
Home, that's what I'm saying. Let's go.
That was a good one.
Yes.
That's a way to, how else do you want to do it?
Get to the point.
Get to the point.
Yeah.
And let's move on.
Yes.
Now, at this point, you're getting married to a man who's in the military. Okay? He obviously is spending his days in military, whatever, in training, being posted from one area to the other. You're a teacher.
Yeah.
How did your 2 lives merge?
Those were tough years to begin with. After our wedding, I went to teach in Nakuru High School. He was training. He was the main trainer for the cadet students in Lanet. And his work involved a lot of going out, taking students for training, for mountain climbing, for, there's a lot out there. So most of the time I was alone. And I was just, I was issued with this big house. The military those days, they will issue with everything. They'll bring a full book of everything, even to for cleaning the floor, even a spoon. And
Paka duster.
You are issued everything. That was a colonial way of doing things. So you are issued, and You forget I'm a girl from the village. I didn't even understand some of these things, that there is a fish knife. Eh. But anyway, I later learned. I put everything in their cabinets, and they stayed for years until I later, But what was most trying was being left alone. And here I am, and I have written an incident of the 1982 coup, where I was all alone in that big house, and he had been away for 2 months, and I was expectant, and I'm just hearing people talking around. This is a military camp, so it's a bit quiet because you don't hear much noise until a neighbor tells me that the military are the ones who are leading the country now. So I go out and say, now, where do I start? My parents are so far away in Kajiado. I'm all alone here. The husband who married me is nowhere to be found. I can't even access him on phone.
Right.
So I went to sit outside to see whether there'll be bombs dropped anywhere. I just said, let me just sit outside and see what happens. Until later, how he managed to get somebody who was a friend of ours, a family friend, to later come and check on me. So that is now much later in the afternoon. So that is when now so it was really hard. It has been hard because particularly when you are a young officer, you are out most of the time. So, and it is not weeks, it is months. So you as a wife, you have to build a lot of resilience, a lot of sacrifice, and it makes you to believe in yourself that you can manage. Because many a times I handled most of the family matters on my own, because he was out there serving. Yeah.
Even as you, were by yourself, he was out here working. It's obviously something that he had endeared himself to. What were his thoughts about Kenya at that time? Did he have a passion for the country? Did he have a passion for leadership? Even if, you told us earlier that the people said, look, it's time for you to come and lead us. But was there something within him?
I think I saw that all through, in that he was always somebody who wanted to improve wherever he is. And he was very passionate, even in the military, very passionate about his job. And he wanted to make it better every time. And up to now, I still have a relationship. Some of his students whom he trained in those years, they come and check on me. Some of them have even contributed to writing in the book. So that was who he was. He was somebody who really wanted to build relationships, but also improve in every situation where he is. Yeah.
Why did the general choose a military career?
There's a story in the book of his, which was given by his Standard 1 classmate. Interesting, until I interviewed him, that is when I learned maybe that was where the interest of joining the military started from. Way back in the early 60s, before independence, the military brass band, the colonial government used to go around towns as a way of stamping authority and to be felt. And the band would play those drums, and once in a while in every town. So in our little town in Bisil, they would come, and the students at Bisil Primary School would be allowed to go to the town to see the brass band. But then Sami Risa, his Standard 1 classmate, says immediately we came back, General started picking the blackboard ruler, the long ruler, and always telling us, get into line and follow me, left, right. and that is when he started putting people in order to march. And he gained interest. He also wanted to, don't forget he was a Moran. Before he came to school, he had even tested, that traditional way of you are made to believe that the security of your community is on your hands.
Yeah.
So that sort of cemented, and that is when to me, I believe that is what started the interest. Yeah.
I want us to take a break and then we continue the conversation. This is the book we are discussing, The General and I, by Helen Nkaisserry. It's a memoir. She's written it. It's the words of Helen herself about the life, the times, and the person that she knew to be Joseph Nkaisserry, her husband. And you'll tell us about this photo. So you say he had his own ideas about his own book, his own autobiography. You had your idea about the story that you wanted to tell about your life with Joseph, and you picked this photo. You'll tell us about this photo and why you chose it, plus other stories as well.
This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
So this book is in several parts, and I'm gonna just look at the various parts, the way you've broken down the book. Part 1, Falling, where you talk about your early years, his early years from Kapsabet to Mutomu, making of an officer and all. And then Part 2 is a double march, A Soldier's Wife, Hellos and Goodbyes, Making a Home in Mabarasha, Growing Through the Ranks, A Year Abroad, Staying in Touch. Part 3 has one, Ero, Attention, a Maasai and a Christian. Why is it only just that Part 3 is so specific, a Maasai and a Christian?
I think I wanted to capture what he really stood for, in that he believed that he was first a Christian. He believed in the faith of Jesus Christ, but he was also a Maasai. And he saw he would complain a lot about people who sort of try to delink the two. And so, like, if you had to be a Christian, then you have to sort of completely abandon who you were and where your roots were. So, and that word "ero" is a word he used so much. And whenever he met anybody, a young person, in Maasai language, to alert somebody, "ero," it means you young man, somebody younger than him. So he used that to anybody, everywhere. "Ero, how are you? Ero, kuja hapa, ero." That was him. And to bring attention, be aware. So to me, I wanted the reader, and particularly even his children, to be aware that this is what he believed. You don't need to look at life from a perspective just of somebody else. Look at it from who you are, and maybe try to bring the two together. Yeah.
Would you say that the distinction that the general wanted to ensure he lived out, why that? Was there perception that there was conflict between his ancestral culture and that of the Christian faith?
Oh yes, there was. Those of us maybe, and you agree, when the coming of the first missionaries and Christians, as much as we may not blame them now because they didn't understand us, but we wish they did. They tried to interrogate to know who we were. In our community, when they came, and they would tell us to completely get rid of what we are wearing, the way we are so proud of our beads, that you can only get to church once you remove all your beads, and completely leave your culture, and start dressing like them. And it was very hard because, let me give you an example, one that was really brought up big conflict. In Maasai culture, once a woman removes all the beads, then it means she's mourning. So when somebody dies, a woman removes all the beads and anything that brings beauty on her. And then anyone would not need to ask what is happening. They'll know straight away somebody has died. But here we are, the missionaries have come and said you remove. So how do you relate death to hope?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because-
Christianity looked like a religion of mourning.
Yeah.
Like a death ritual.
And
Yeah.
yet it was supposed to bring hope.
Hope.
Yes.
So those are some of the things. Yeah.
I met the general twice, and he seemed to me to be extremely gentle. However, it was clear that he was uncompromising in his beliefs about certain things, or in the manner in which he wanted to do certain things, or the way in which he wanted things to be done. Did you also, in the experiences that you had, I mean, the country could see how he carried out himself.
When did you join the military?
Did you see? Now I've lost my train of thought. Did you see that
Trait.
as you, I mean, lived with him, experienced him?
Was he as
well?
uncompromising with you as he
was,
appeared?
as he appeared to be?
That is a very true
Observation.
He was very uncompromising to things that would go against the what he believed was right, both out there and even at home. And but he's very gentle. Out there, I used to wonder when some people expressed that they feared him because of the posture he would try to. But to me, I knew hakuna kitu hapo. I don't know, I've not met a gentle person like him, maybe. He so gentle and you know, he would try to make sure, even if you find difficulty in taking up whatever he's trying to drive home, he will aid you, he will support you to be able to reach there. But he was also somebody very open to explain to you why he wants it this way, so that you are not, it's not just orders. He will explain to you that if we don't take it this way, then this will happen. Like, let me give you one example of the frustrations we used to go through now when he was a CS Interior. And you see, he had a lot of difficulty talking about military and security issues out there to everybody. And he believed that he had to safeguard them, because if I open too much, then I'm opening myself or the country to attack or to somebody to take advantage of that. But then many people didn't understand. So he would be quick, he would, behind the scenes, make you understand. If I say this, then somebody may pick this, and this is the implication. Yeah.
There was also something else that had huge implication, potential implication on how people viewed him. And you've written it on chapter 21, Uliza Mama Soila. Tell us about that.
Uliza Mama Soila, it is the way he's sort of handed all his other roles to me of managing the home. And that was his way, even when he was in the military, because he wanted to concentrate so much. He had this spirit of never divided loyalty. It's 100%. You go into something, 100%. When he was in the military, when he was a member of parliament, and when he was on CS. So any other duties of managing the home, making sure that the children settle in school,
wealth creation,
wealth creation, managing the farm, our family businesses, it was me. So wherever we were directors of our company, because of our family businesses, he would pick the checkbook and write sign from the first page to the last page, sign his signature, and now go ahead. It doesn't, how you do it, to him, that's not because he has handed over to me. So it became so much, and everybody now knew, even at home. And you see, this is a community where they believe that
patriarchal community.
These are your cows. Oh, it's the man's cows. So men would come, and he's a member of parliament, and they say, oh, we've seen you have young bulls. Can you give us some? He says, I don't know. Uliza Mama Soila. I don't know how many cows I have. I don't know where they are. I don't know who takes care of them, how much she pays. Uliza, And when somebody came and said he wanted a cow, he said, I have no cow. Everything belongs to Mama Soila. She's the one who manages it.
You say it in the book that at some point you thought, hey, wait, you are becoming too much. This could be used against you politically. I mean, culturally, people would go and say, huyu mzee, kila kitu ni mama, si tuchague mama basi. Did you actually feel that?
I did, and I would feel shy because, you see, he was a very open person. So we go for a rally, and before he starts speaking, he says, and before I speak, I want to invite Mama Soila to talk. I feel so uncomfortable, because he's supposed to be the one to take, is the MP. But he did that, and he said, and she's the one who manages the home and the cows, and oh my goodness. Then, so I have to stand there and I say, but by the way, I cannot give out any cow without him knowing, and the cows belong to him, else you believe they belong to me.
Yeah. Don't you think you could have been paving the way for showing what women empowerment could actually look like?
That is very true. He believed in women empowerment so much. And he wanted to change the notion that was in our community. So he would, people in Kajiado, he would take time to praise me and talk about what I've been able to do, what I'm doing, what I'm planning, until I tell you, you're exposing me too much. But he didn't stop there. This is a community that believed that women should always be on the background. He started by making them to be on the forefront and making them chiefs. So the first woman chief, he told me, go and get a name of a lady whom you think I can talk to the ministry, and she has the qualifications to see whether she can be made to be a chief. And he followed it, and the lady was made to be an assistant chief. The community gathered, called meetings to come and denounce him. And he went and told them, go ahead, denounce me and don't give me your votes, because this one is just a start point. From this time, I'll be making sure that there is always a woman who is in every leadership role. And by the time he passed on, in Kajiado Central, I think we had 8 of them who were chiefs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about now his life as a CS, and also let's mix that with his health. He was a straight walking man, a military man, proper. Whenever you see him, you just know this, the general. You say in the book that he was very fit, always very, very keen and disciplined on exercise. How was his health like throughout the life that you know him?
He had excellent, good health. This is somebody who never took medicine. He was never admitted in hospital. In fact, I wrote that the only time I remember him taking to a dispensary in Lanet is one time when his friend banged the door for the military Land Rover on his finger, and it made
So the nail came out.
Yes, the nail came out. And that was the only time I remember taking him, going with him to the dispensary. All through, he believed that he believed he was fit, he was healthy, and he was, because he was quite okay. He had this belief that to heal any disease, you just need to exercise. Because to him, exercise was medicine for everything. So you'd come home, oh, Daddy, the children said, Daddy, I have a headache. Oh, you have a headache, go and exercise.
5 press-ups.
Yeah. And he did that every day of his life. He never missed his exercises. And he didn't need to use machines. He had planned his own exercise routine, which just occupied a small part of the bedroom. And that is what he did every day. It didn't matter what time he's starting his day. If his meetings are starting at 6, he has to wake up at 4, exercise, then leave at 5. If his meetings are starting, it didn't matter. He made sure. I would travel. One day we traveled and we were on the plane, and by the time we were arriving, it was 18 hours. We've been traveling. And here I am, I'm struggling to look for, in a hotel, running to sleep. Him is looking for where to exercise.
Wow.
That is who he was.
Man was a military man for many years.
For many years.
He was a trained marksman as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Him and guns. Sio kitu kubwa. Like you're saying, climbing hills and taking people and explosions left, right, and center. But then there was the needle.
Yes. He took people to climb mountains. He made sure his children, all of them, climbed those mountains because he saw it as fun, and he took them to climb. And he did all that. But there is only so much that you can put to a human body. So in the last few months, I just started seeing that he was a bit restless. He was restless, and the work was so much. There was so much work. And he would come home maybe around midnight, and you find he's worked in the office for so many hours, meetings back and forth. And sleep started becoming a bit very restless. And I even tried to book him to go for a medical checkup. But he was stubborn, very stubborn. He agreed at one time, then the next day he said, no, you go. You go yourself, me, I'm okay. And he refused. And so I started seeing a bit of restlessness, and until one day I had gone downstairs to prepare breakfast for him, and I came back. I thought he had finished his exercise, and I found him standing, supporting himself, and he was in a lot of pain. So I asked what had happened. He said, I don't know. I just had this pain, which was so much on the left-hand side of this side. And then he quickly, I think I just did the press-ups too hard, so I need to relax. So I tried to massage, to see whether the muscle, would relax. And within that, I said, no, I'm better. I'm going to work. And I was trying to tell him, okay, can we just go and see the doctor? He says, no, I'm fine. I have done a little relaxation exercise to relax, and I'm fine. So then from there, I started seeing just build up of restless, acidity, and to me, I have no reason to believe otherwise, but I believe in what I saw, that this was a build-up to weakness in his heart. Yeah.
What happened on that final day?
It was a day that you'll never believe the way God can just prepare you of something that is coming. I was out there campaigning because even though he wasn't an MP already, my skills of campaign were noticed, and therefore the government had asked me to continue helping in campaigning within Kajiado. So I was out the whole day, and I had women whom I had carried from Kajiado. We were campaigning at Kona Baridi, and I finished the meetings, and I was supposed to go back to Bisil to take the women, but I just felt I was not able to, and therefore I called for a vehicle to come and pick me so that I release my car to take the women back to Kajiado, the ones I had come with. And I come home and I call him that I'm back home. He said, "Oh, I thought we agreed that you stay in Bisil because I'm coming tomorrow." I said, "No, I've come." So he finishes, he says he's meeting somebody on his way, then he comes home. So before 9, he was home. And he was in a very, very jolly mood. We sat, by that time, we at that stage where it's just the two of us in the house. And maybe a house help and who had already left. So we sat and we were happy, as he was a very jolly, very, very jolly person. And he always wanted to liven everybody's, mood. So we sat and about 10:30, I said, I'm going to take a shower, then he find me in bed. Says he's watching because he loved the BBC, VOA, those are the news he loved following a lot. So he'll say he will watch a bit of BBC and then he will come. So he finds me in bed and he's still okay, very happy, but he seemed a bit tired. So he got into bed, and after about an hour, I felt him stepping out of bed, and then I just heard him bang the dressing table on the other side. And so I said, "What are you doing?" I woke up, and he held himself until he went down to the floor. He didn't hit the floor, but he held and just lied down. I was so confused because I didn't know what had really happened. So what is it? So the only help I could get were the APs, askaris who were around in the compound. So I quickly went and called them, and to them, they were confused. They didn't know what had happened. And so I told them, "No, you have to come to my room. Mzee has fallen down and I don't know what is happening." So we carried him, we put in the car and took him to Karen Hospital, which is very close. We couldn't believe it. Yeah, but that is it.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's how he went. It's a good story that you've told us, from the very beginning up to this point, in everything that you've known about the man. Looking back at General Joseph Nkaisserry, and looking now, talking to either young people. I mean, you're a teacher, you're a community leader, you're a national leader as well in the position that you hold with the Ushanga Initiative. What would you tell? What characteristic of Nkaisserry the man would you say, "I wish we all got a bit of this"?
Okay, devotion to his work. As much as I would be cautious to tell somebody now, don't, take your body to extremes in work, but blend time for devoting your time to work and also devoting for your relaxation. But I would wish everybody would take that bit of patriotism. I would also wish that people would take the love for family, because this is somebody who really loved family. And I would wish that leaders would know that you don't just wake up and become a leader. You first of all have to build the skills of leadership. Show yourself. Whom do you want to lead? Have you interacted with the people you want to lead before you come and say, give me this position? And again, more important, standing out and holding, firm to what you believe in. Your faith, your work, your ability, and never shying to take up responsibility.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Helen, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. And we, of course, will be sharing this book, The General and I, Helen Nkaisserry, a memoir. It's out. It's a story by Helen Nkaisserry of the man that she knew as Joseph Nkaisserry. We all knew him as Major General Joseph Nkaisserry, Generali Mtua wa Jeshi. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation.